Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the Orange Reel YouTube channel. I'm your host, Vincent. And with me to have a very long and lengthy spoiler discussion.
4 hours. So the discussion itself is a minute by minute breakdown.
And that's the original cut.
We took impeccable notes.
This is what the fans have been asking for years from us.
But anyway, so for those of you who are subscribed to my channel, welcome back. For those of you who are watching the first time, hey, welcome. I hope you enjoy. This is our spoiler discussion. I did a non-spoiler review a few days ago. If you want to check that out first, you can pause this. Link will be down in the description, and I'll have another link up in the corner there. But for now, let's introduce everybody. So, right next to me, and at the end there, we've got Zach and Joe of the Is It Worth a Sandwich YouTube channel. If you like video games and drinks and food based on movies and shows and all that kind of stuff, check out their channel. Lots of good stuff over there. And if you like political commentary, then check out Krish's channel, Krish Mohan on YouTube, and as well the Forkful of Noodles podcast that he has. The man is always working. There's always something to talk about in America about politics. But I won't do that on my channel because politics gives me a fucking headache. So, and also Krish and Zach are both stand-up comedians, so keep an eye out for their stuff out there. They both have albums, and you can go to their channels to find some of that stuff out there. Yeah. This is
that's Zach's.
That's Zach's album.
I appreciate someone else wearing my merch because I thought about wearing it. It would have been really awkward if we dressed the same.
Yeah.
If you will confuse us.
All right, so
we have a uniform now.
Yeah. All right, okay, so let's get into it. Like I said, I already watched the movie. They had not.
We
watched...
should maybe say which movie. That was just my thought. Is you have been purposefully, seemingly avoiding saying.
Yeah, you have not said the title.
You should say the title of the movie.
The title of the movie
is Avengers Endgame.
The Snyder cut.
It's the Snyder cut
of Avengers Endgame. Yes. No, it was Justice League. We watched Justice League, the Snyder cut.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, we watched Zack Snyder's Justice. Is the official title Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Presented in 4.3 aspect ratio.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Okay, so first things first. The first things first. One, no, we are not going to go into the very long and complicated backstory of how this happened because if you're watching this video, I assume you already know what this is all about. And besides, there are literally 15 million articles that have popped up online in the past 10 seconds alone that will already explain that for you. Because as I posted this on my Facebook, these guys will let me know. I thought the worst thing about all this was going to be the movie. It turned out it was every entertainment website on Earth posting an article every 5 minutes, especially comicbook.com. They were the worst.
And if you don't know all the backstory to all this stuff, congratulations, you're better for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I think the first question we're going to get going here, and Zach, I'll give you the microphone because I'll just go who's closest to me. I think the first basic question is, okay, wait, so Joe, you did not see the theatrical cut.
Okay, so I have not seen the theatrical cut of this movie. I had only seen a couple of DC movies, and I thought they were great. I was really disappointed by this one. I have seen Wonder Woman, I had seen Aquaman, I had seen Shazam, and I'd seen Birds of Prey, and I liked all of them. They were great.
All right, so that's Joe's input. But here's the question everyone's been asking, and I already answered this question myself on my non-spoiler review, so once again, check that out. But I'm going to start with that. Zach, was this better or worse than the theatrical cut?
So, I watched the theatrical cut in two parts. The first time I watched it was for $1 from Redbox. I turned it off halfway through, and then years later watched the last 25 minutes on TNT before AEW Dynamite Wrestling started. So that gives you my attachment. I think, here's the thing, I think it is better than the theatrical cut, but it loses so many points for being 4 hours that you could have cut so much from this. And because of the length and the time investment, I'd put it on equal footing. It's not worse, but it's so damn long.
I'll hand this to you, Krish.
Well,
to give your impressions.
I saw this. I saw the theatrical cut. I saw the first time I saw the theatrical cut. I was in the desert, like an hour outside of Tucson, Arizona, and I was facing some mild delirium at that point because I was on the road for one of the longer tours I did, and I just thought like perhaps I didn't give the movie enough credit because I was like kind of delirious in the desert. And when I watched it again, it was equally as terrible. So I would say that there's a lot more character development in the 4-hour cut than there was in the Frankenstein Justice League movie. But it's also like because it's 4 hours, you're just like, wait, when the hell did this happen?
Now, had you watched the 4-hour cut while delirious in the desert, how long do you think it would have felt? Would your spirit journey have been completed?
I would have ached for Darkseid's invasion, just so that it would be over. A hit from the Omega beams would mean that I would not exist to watch this movie any further. That's how I think I would have felt.
Well, if the Snyder fans can get trending going again, we might get a sequel because Zack Snyder already had plans for what the sequel is. He's talked about it in interviews.
It's like a 5-part plan.
And each one of them 6 hours.
It is a musical, is the sequel.
I would have been down for a musical. I don't know, I watching this, having not seen the theatrical cut, and just with all the fluff and flummery and whatnot, this movie could have been an hour and a half long, and it would have been fine. Like, I like character development. I like knowing all these things. I like all the stuff that's going on in the background. But, like, I don't think it was anyway necessary. Like, I think if you did an hour and a half cut of this movie, it would have been okay. There were parts of this movie that kicked ass. And I was like, yeah, I'm on board for this. And then just, like, it droned on for no real reason.
Well, you see, that's the problem. Like, I agree. Like, I don't know about an hour and a half, because the original theatrical plan was this was supposed to be 2.5 hours. But then when they actually released it in theaters, which was the Joss Whedon rewrite Frankenstein cut, it was down. The studio made them cut it down to 2 hours because they were not confident it was going to make money, and they figured, okay, if we cut it down to 2 hours, then cinemas can have more showings in one day, and we can recuperate our losses there.
Yes, and in the Frankenstein cut, Joss Whedon was the monster.
That's a whole nother discussion, but probably true. Probably most likely the one we've heard. But anyway, yeah, so, I mean, like I said in my non-spoiler review, it is better than the theatrical cut in the sense that it is not this mishmash Frankensteining of two directing styles with all these like obvious reshoot scenes. Like I said in my non-spoiler review, when you watch the theatrical cut, you can literally tell in the same scene what was a reshoot because people's hair looked different, the lighting is different, the camera angle looks different, even though you're supposed to be going back to the same shot. Other things in this movie that except for one special effect, which we're going to get into, which after rewatching, I'm like, oh God, it's so distracting. It's not the lip. The lip is gone out of this one. Most of the special effects look better because they were designed to be under that Zack Snyder dark lighting and contrast and brightness. But the one special effect that, and for me, it was all in the jaw. Not in the lip with Superman, but this one's in the jaw. I'm sorry. Even though Cyborg actually got some good character development in this film, I actually think he's a good. Like before, he was just kind of boring, but in this one, I'd watch a Cyborg film. I'll be honest, under a different director. I'd watch a Cyborg film under a different director.
Just watch Doom Patrol.
Yeah, from what I heard, I've heard good things about Doom Patrol. I haven't seen it, but yeah. So Cyborg, he still. There's a lot of moments in this movie. A lot of moments where I'm just like, I'm not buying it. They needed to do combination of practical effect and VFX work with the CGI because it just, especially once again, it's in the jaw because the metal piece that goes like down his jaw like RoboCop has one of those things. It's just like it's there that it doesn't like. It's like when you usually have an old CGI character like Tarkin in Rogue One. Like most of the time, the uncanny valley effect is in the mouth. With Cyborg, it's on his jaw. Like I'm sorry, like I don't even really care for like his overall design. He looks like I don't know how to say it. He looks like a really skinny robot that put armor on to try to look like he's not skinny. Like, you know when skinny people put on really baggy clothing so they don't look skinny? That kind of looks like how he looks.
Yes, I know exactly what that's like. Gee, Vincent, it's not like I didn't grow up with a mom that always bought me clothes that said that when she was like, "Oh, you'll grow into it." No, I won't, Mom. I'll never grow into it.
This isn't the same. You're not made of metal. It's totally different.
Aren't I, Vincent?
Yes, he is not.
Sorry, that's my bad.
Well, no, I was just flicking you. I was flicking you to see if you were metal or not.
I'm very dense, you know.
It doesn't really
That's
feel
not
it.
true. He has hollow bird bones.
Stop.
This is canon.
You're ruining my street cred, Zach.
This is canon.
So I took a lot of notes on this because I'm a
You did.
nerd and have ADHD, and that was how I was going to keep my thoughts together. The part that bothered me just the most near the beginning is they explained so much and not enough at the exact same amount of time.
Yeah, like I'm not sure where because this is a 4 cut and because this has even more in it than the theatrical cut. I'm not sure where to start. So since you took all the notes, Joe, where do you want to start? I'll let you. Since you're the note man.
I'd say almost in a little order, like kind of in the order that it happened in the movie. Like the movie starts sort of with Steppenwolf going in and killing a bunch of Amazons and going into the boombox, and what is it?
The boom
tube and like teleporting
Boom
down
box.
and
Dark side on the subway, just sitting there.
My rap album's dropping tomorrow.
and just like and he's going after the mother box, and you don't know what it is. You know it's important. You know it's cracking down, and it wasn't self-contained. Like, I feel like if someone went into this movie not knowing anything as to what was going on, they'd be completely lost.
Yeah.
And you have to take time to establish things. And there's one shot that really bothered me in the beginning where the Amazons are running away with the mother box, and she shoots an arrow, and like it goes through the mother box, and there's a rope tied to it, and she gets pulled up into the thing, but you never actually see it go through the mother box, and it's like, you missed that shot. You missed that entirely CGI shot that would have like made sense.
Yeah, and just to correct you real quick, the movie actually begins with Zack Snyder giving a middle finger to all his naysayers, because the movie literally begins in slow-mo. I just like to remind you, but after that, then we have everything that Joe just said.
Yes.
Okay. Am I wrong? Did it really feel like it was a middle finger? Because the first clear image we see is like it looks like a middle finger, but it's actually Doomsday's bone spike going through Superman. It's like, fuck you. You gotta endure the slow-mo for the first 5 minutes. And it's just...
So I hadn't seen...
It's important to set the tone.
I hadn't seen Batman Superman or Batman versus Superman, and so like I knew he kind of died, but that seemed like a really weird way of doing that.
Oh, it was like I know people who even like really enjoy Batman v Superman, who like defend it, who love it, who said claim that even some people who are defenders of that film will say killing Superman in only the second film of this franchise was a bad idea. And I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Especially is because, like when they released Justice League originally, it's like, oh, Henry Cavill's on the press circuit for this film, but Superman's dead. Well, that's nice of him to take time out to promote a movie he's not in.
He's so dedicated to the role.
But just so there's a thing. George Lucas, I don't know if he came up with it or was just the person to first use it really well with Star Wars, is you can just like have things happen and have people react to it in the movie, and the audience will just go along with you with that, because you don't really need to explain that much. Like, oh, someone pulls out a laser sword and everyone's like, oh, okay, I guess that's just a thing. And the audience will just follow you there.
Yeah.
But like this kind of breaks that, because like the characters aren't reacting in a way that makes any sense.
They did do the George Lucas thing you mentioned, at least, with the old-time Green Lantern, who was kind of useless, though.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was nice. There was never, let's quick stop to explain who this guy is.
Yeah, that like, they explain they really over-explained a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
But then just, like, the stuff that actually makes sense, like, just, they don't, and you have to, like, wait till later in the movie to find out what had happened in the past and why it was relevant. And that's not very good storytelling.
Yeah, there's so much in this,
A lot of exposition.
like and even
Yeah.
just like some of the subplots, like the whole thing with Barry and his dad being in prison. They never explain why his dad's in prison or why Barry.
Right.
It's just, if you don't know the comics, it's just, oh, I guess his dad's in prison. What did he do? I don't know. Maybe he had a DUI. Maybe
Yeah.
Maybe he
you
killed
know,
somebody.
maybe he ran a dogfighting ring.
Yeah.
Barry's
Because
doesn't like
drug
dogs.
runner.
if they mention in the film, because like the reason is that Barry's father was sent to prison for presumably the death of the murder of his mom,
Nora.
Barry's mom, which if you know the comics, you know, like, oh, he didn't, but he got, that. If they do mention it in the Snyder Cut, they mentioned it very briefly because I missed it. But oh god, speaking of Barry, in the theatrical cut, he's like cracking awkward jokes constantly. In this one, he's still cracking jokes. He doesn't crack the brunch joke, where in the theatrical cut, Barry Allen could not understand the concept of brunch for some reason, which we now know that's Joss Whedon's edition, because it was not in this version. But I still have to say, he has this opening scene in this movie, and it's a scene that we've seen parts of it before, because I think it was in the original trailer and some promotional stuff, where he saves a beautiful young woman in a car crash, and he like bursts through a window. And this is his introductory scene in the film. And I hated him during this entire scene. Like later in the film, I'm fine with the way he is, kinda. Like he's not
His
the very,
intro's a creep, man.
yeah.
He's
So
a
let
real
me-
creep.
So he's applying for a job at like a pet
I think it's like a dog walking
Dog
service.
walking.
dog walking
company.
service, and he's late, and he comes in and he's just rambling like, sorry, I was waiting the bus, and he was late on the bus, and she was putting coins in, and she's like, what a resume, and like he's like shut up for 5 seconds, Esmeralda, just shut the hell up. And then we see the beautiful young woman who is presumably Iris West, and she's getting into a car and she crashes because some jackass in a tractor trailer. What am I saying?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
tractor
trailer.
trailer.
Yeah, correct.
Was trying to reach for his burger, which I was trying to look at the label on the burger to see if it was a Big Belly burger, but I couldn't see if it was or not.
Meal kit.
Meal kits. Go to Zach and Joe's channel for more information on the meal kits. But anyway,
There's only 3 people who've made a video on that, and I was shocked about that.
We're number 1, baby.
yeah. But anyway, so she crashes, and she crashes so hard that she's flying through the air, and she's gonna like slam into the side of the tractor trailer. So he goes into super speed. His shoes burst off. The rest of his clothes do not, or at least catch fire. That's something the CW Flash got right, where in the earlier parts of the first season, his clothes would catch fire until he controlled his powers.
Okay, that was why I have magic shoes written down. Because Sonic the Hedgehog has magic shoes or something, and that's why he's able to run. Well, not why he's able to run so fast. It's why his shoes don't explode when he runs so fast.
Yes.
But anyway, so Barry.
That explains that note.
Barry bursts through the window, goes up to like catch her in midair to pull her down. Yeah, he bursts through the window with his finger. It's to make a cool little effect, even though like I understand it's a superhero movie, but I feel like his finger should have gone.
Also, it bothers me that it's clear Iris wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
What message are we sending the
Just
kids?
just from someone who cares about driving safety. I'm sorry, kids, wear your seatbelt. The Flash isn't real.
So,
Yeah, but she's also like in a fucking
In a
like
convertible.
1960s, in like a 1960s Cadillac. It's like they had seatbelts. In fact, they were encouraging people to wear them because like
At that
people
point, though,
didn't wear 'em
the
back in the
59
day.
Cadillac actually said, "You don't wear the seatbelts if you're a man."
But not to get you off,
That's okay.
but what's really fucking weird is like he goes up and she's clearly like falling out of this
Yeah,
car,
because he's like
and
moving
would
super speed, so
die.
everything's like kind of like
right? But he's like touching her face
Yeah,
and
he's
like
pulling
her
her hair
hair, and then he just like in the midst of it, he goes, "Oh, also hot dogs."
Yes.
Like,
the
what?
hot dog closest to her face, which maybe I'm just putting something there that isn't. It felt very phallic. I'm just saying, like, he's stroking her face, and the next thing he does is he grabs a wiener. I'm just saying.
So the part that really bothered me, and we could go back and double check this. I'm not going to, but
Good idea. I agree with that idea.
The part that really then bothers me is after he, does all this, he goes in and he's applying at a dog sitting place, sits down and takes the hot dog out, and it's like, oh, it's good to give them a meat snack after this thing. And it's like, okay, was that an all beef hot dog? Because if that is a pork hot dog, you've potentially killed those dogs.
Oh wow!
Okay. Yeah. Quick PSA from Vincent's channel here: do not give your dogs pork; it can kill them.
All right. Well,
I don't know that, but
we're learning so much here. On
dogs need to keep kosher.
Yeah,
that's very good to know.
All right, so
but
for the rest of the film, he's kind of fine. But also for the rest of the film, I think we go through almost all of the Flash's most notable powers. We see him phase at one point at the end of the film. He phases when the Unity explodes. It looks like he's phasing for like 5 seconds. Once again, if you miss it, and then we see him not travel back in time. We see him reverse time. At least that's how it looked like to me. But apparently, that if you've been keeping track of interviews with Zack Snyder, you know that he will travel in time because they have to make that scene in BVS happen. Even though apparently it did nothing when you think about the way the timeline's working.
I mean, if he's going to reverse things, first was, oh, you mean like a Flash in reverse? A reverse Flash?
Dun, dun, dun.
That is a Flash villain for those who are unaware of Zack Snyder.
Yes, but also he's like a reoccurring villain on the Flash TV show. And at this point,
played by the awesome Tom Cavanaugh.
It's less obvious, less obscure. But anyway, to be more obscure, one of the complaints I had regarding the Flash, and we all kind of talked about this, is how they just use Barry's name because he's like the most famous Flash. And then just assign whatever personality they want to him. There have been a bunch of different people to carry the mantle of the Flash. And Barry Allen is a never Trump Republican. He's not racist, but he's fiscally conservative. He supports the cops.
He'd be on TV going look, I like these protesters, but we're not going to defund the police.
Yeah. I'm a cop. I need this job.
All right, keep the political commentary.
No, I'm just talking about the idea of Barry Allen has always been the serious scientific investigator guy.
Yeah.
And
he makes dad jokes.
Yeah. And they just slap whatever personality they need to him on this this personality is probably the closest to Bart Allen Impulse.
Agreed. I would say that you brought up the whole BVS scene where he shows up through a time portal or whatever.
Yeah, even though it's can I talk about that scene real quick? I know it's another movie.
Do it.
So it begins with the nightmare scene where Batman is asleep and he has the vision of the future world where Darkseid's taken over and he's trying to we learn all that crap. And then he wakes up. He wakes up and then Barry Allen pops out of a portal and tells him Lois is the key. Am I too early? He tells him that, and then he wakes up again, and you think, oh, was it all a dream? Was it a dream within a dream? But when he wakes up for the last time, there are papers falling to the ground as if a giant portal was blowing wind around. So, what? Barry Allen came out of the portal, and then Bruce fell asleep for half a second, woke back up while the portal... that scene always bothered me. I understand they're going for, multiple timelines, multi-dimensional stuff, but it's just no. Edited. It just... When you look at it, it just doesn't make was it multiple Bruces in that moment? See, that's the thing. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that even if.
Well, so to go back to how for you to say, because you said it didn't really do anything. Yeah. I think the purpose of that really fucking long dream sequence at the end of the movie that was an alternate timeline. It was. Oh, it's crazy. It's totally way too fucking long. The monologue between Batman and the Joker is ridiculous. And again, it's just you had an 8-minute monologue while you might be facing the toughest villain of all time. But Flash is wearing that suit, so I think that's supposed to signify that that's where all of this started from.
Yeah,
and that's how he knew Lois was the key, because Lois is dead in that timeline, and they're doing this weird dark side injustice
So here's
thing. I don't know. It was very weird.
Here's what's going on in that timeline, because Zack Snyder has spoken about what the story and plot were going to be for Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. Justice League 2 is simply, for the most part, Darkseid shows up with his army on Earth, takes over Earth. And the final scene of the movie is Lois is with Batman in the Batcave. Darkseid breaks into the Batcave, kills Lois with his Omega beams, and apparently Batman had a chance to save her, but he didn't for some reason. In Zack Snyder's interview, he said Batman didn't have the courage to give up his life, and that's why Lois died. And then Superman shows up, and he's grieving over her now burnt skeleton, and between his grief of Lois and Darkseid finding the anti-life equation, which the anti-life equation, we're going to get into that's part of this movie too. The anti-life equation basically allows you to take over the whole universe by controlling people and all that shit. And so he takes over Superman. He takes over Superman, and that's how Justice League 2 was going to end. Justice League 3 was about them in the post-apocalyptic world where Darkseid's in charge, and they have to find another mother box or something to help Flash go back in time. No, to help Flash take Batman back in time to the Batcave so he can actually sacrifice himself to save Lois. And that's how it was going to be, where Batman sacrificed himself to save Lois, therefore Superman stays good, and then him and the other Justice League members, along with the Amazons and the Atlanteans, have one giant fight against Darkseid's army, and they save the day. So that's what was supposed to be the plans for Justice League 2 and 3.
Now, presumably then Justice League 4, Wonder Woman gets to sacrifice herself. Justice League 5, since they have to keep upping the stakes, it's Martian Manhunter and the Flash sacrifice themselves. And then Justice League 6, the entire world sacrifices itself. But that's a dream sequence, and yeah.
That leads us all the way back to Man of Steel.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah.
Oh my god, everything in my god. This is so dreamy. Zack Snyder wish he thought of this. In Man of Steel, after Superman takes out the world engine in India, he's all tired, and he's reaching out to the sun. He knocks out for a few seconds. Everything that happened after that was just all a dream. Him breaking Zod's neck.
Oh my god, that would be so
fighting
good.
Batman, Justice League. And then he wakes up and he's like, oh, I still gotta go fight Zod. But in this timeline, they do it right, and Zod gets sucked into
He throws that S off his chest. And it's just that worked. Why didn't we do that first?
And then at the end of Justice League 9, Batman looks at the camera and says, yeah, well, I'm Batman. Snaps his fingers, and then all of a sudden it's just the DC animated universe.
It turns out that it's one of the Scarecrow episodes from the 90s animated.
That's all this is. It just cuts to Kevin Conroy waking up in a cold sweat. What?
We can never let Zack Snyder have this franchise.
He grabs his phone real quick, calls Tim Bruce, and be like, dude. Bruce Tim. Sorry.
Tim Bruce is from the Snyder cut of reality.
Oh my god. Everything's flipped upside down.
Kevin Conroy just wakes up and goes, oh, it was so much slow motion.
All right, let's talk about. Let's switch to some visuals here. I think this is the grayest of all of his DC movies so far.
There was some red and blue.
There was some, yeah.
Muted.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's in a Tim Burton movie, Tim Burton, he has his visual style, and there's a lot of, dark and shadowy stuff, but the shadowy stuff really highlights the stuff that does have color in his movies. But with this, it's 90% gray, and there's one red brick wall over in the corner, and then it's just that's our color. It's just it's so bad. For instance, speaking of darks and gray, let's talk about the Superman's black suit.
That didn't bother me, but it did. Now I think more about it. It's just it does. Because it's from the comics, it's whatever. And it's okay, so you're doing the dark, edgy Superman, and then in the super flashback forward thing, it's Batman's dream, he's in the regular suit again.
Yeah, because at the end of the movie, after they've had their victory, surprise, they win.
They cut Steppenwolf's head off after the... let's just talk about that for a minute, because that is one of the best and worst scenes in the entire film.
Okay, we'll get back to Superman suit, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's just because Superman suit is just it's black and white, because morality or whatever, like it's supposed to symbolize something, but like
it symbolizes that he found that machine in Secret War that made him a new costume.
Zach, for all your obscure references.
Yes, so obscure that they've made a film franchise with the character.
Well, here's the thing. So, going back to Zack Snyder interviews once again, the reason, because in the comics, the reason why he has the black suit is a recovery suit because he's not back up to full power yet after he, kind of came back from the dead doing his healing coma or whatever the shit.
The Genesis Chamber.
Cyborg Superman, the Eradicator.
Yeah. So the black suit is supposed to be a suit that's supposed to be feeding him extra solar energy because he's not fully back to 100% health. But in this one...
Okay, that actually kind of makes sense because of how light works. And
yeah, black.
Okay, so in that one it makes sense, where in this one it's just sort of like the duality. It's black and white.
Well,
there's no morality.
It's supposed to connect back to his dad's. That's what Zack Snyder said.
Actually, what it really represents is that Superman has finally discovered My Chemical Romance.
Join the Black Parade!
Like, have you guys heard this band? That's actually a deleted scene. That was the only scene Zack Snyder actually cut. Is Superman turns to the Justice League and is like, guys, I have an album you guys should listen to.
Kal-El discovers emo.
And then Batman comes up and be like, I've heard of this. Wait till you listen to The Used.
So then Superman goes to Batman and is like, can I borrow some of that eyeliner you're using? I want to get my eyes nice and dark like yours.
Have you ever heard of The Cure? Swear to me. I played the Bauhaus before anyone in the Batcave.
I was Elliott Smith's biggest fan. I could tell no one. This is the greatest day of my life.
We can revive him with his hot topic. They just drop a gift card into the suits. Instead of the picture of a shitty podcast, it says all the kids die. You just drop a Hot Topic gift card in there. He still comes out the same, and now he also likes anime. And I think that's a nice touch. Come on. Nothing says Superman like a $25 Nirvana shirt bought at the mall in 2020.
Oh, some bitch. Okay.
Oh,
I don't even know.
So we talk. We go from that to
Joe has the notes.
Yeah, we go from that to they cut Steppenwolf's head off. Like it ends up being one of those things. So they beat Steppenwolf at the end. They stab him through with a trident or the whatever. The trident. I'm just going to use
the Pentadent, which is an undersold gum.
So they stab him through the thing. It's like, oh, he's dead, and then they punch him really hard to send him back through the portal to go be with Darkseid. And then Wonder Woman's just like, no, we cut his head off too. And it's just like, this is so overkill. It's just, did all of you just want to get a final piece of him?
Wonder Woman's totally overkill. Let's talk. And speaking of Wonder Woman doing overkill, let's talk about her introductory scene in this film, which is also in the theatrical cut, but it goes way different in this one. So it's the same thing from the theatrical cut where she's stopping these terrorists that are gonna set off explosives that'll take out 4 city blocks because they want to take York back to Dark Ages. I don't know. I think they're in a bank and they're taking out the money.
I didn't understand the motivation at all.
Like, it doesn't make any better sense. Like, theatrical cut or this cut doesn't make any better. I think I heard one of the head of these terrorist guys is actually a character from the comics, but I don't fucking recognize him.
But so it's even that thing of that there being too much and not enough plot. Because, like, okay, so this is it. This would be its own full movie, or what seems to be what looks. Well, no, I was going to talk about Winter Soldier and Falcon, or whatever that's called.
Yeah,
but no, we're not going to get spoilers for that.
They were like nihilist terrorists.
Yeah,
we believe in nothing, Wonder Woman, nothing.
But just. It ends up being this very strange bit where they're going to blow up the bank. and
I think it's a
destroy. Well, one would assume
It's a bank that had a field trip going to it for some reason.
Yeah, they were going to blow up 4 city blocks, but it's just
They all
like
get a dollar coin at the end.
and just having this weird thing with that, and it's just like that is something that could stand on its own thing. That could have been its own movie. That could have been its own villain thing that would have made sense to bring the Justice League together on.
Yeah.
It's just this crazy terrorist organization that's a little too big for any one hero to take out themselves.
Or even Wonder Woman by herself, if they're supposed to be the terrorists who want to set the world back and things are wrong and you shouldn't feel things or whatever the heck. You know, you've got Wonder Woman who is all supposed to be about love and compassion and growing humanity.
Yeah. What's the Serpent Society?
That's Captain America. That's a Marvel thing.
But there is also a DC version of that, right? Where
There's
it's the Cobra Society.
Is it the Cobra Society?
No, I'm making that up on the spot.
But
there's
I remember there was a Justice League episode.
Oh, there's every cartoon.
Oh, you're thinking of Copperhead. That's just one villain.
Copperhead.
Okay.
No,
No,
there is a
I don't
snake
think it's
themed villain group, but at the same time, if you existed in the 80s, you had your own snake themed villain group.
That's far off.
That was how you knew you made it.
That's right.
They were.
Let's see
We're
here.
the Anacondas.
Cobra's taken, Anaconda's taken, Pit Viper's taken.
We are the rattlesnakes.
Rattle.
Eventually, it just went down to we are the garden snakes.
We will ruin your produce.
All right, so let's talk about the way this introduction for Wonder Woman in this movie. It bothers me. The way it ends bothers me. So she's fighting these terrorists. She's blocking bullets with her gauntlets, right? She's knocking these guys away. They're going like splat against the walls. She's literally splatting these guys' brains all over the walls with these field trip of young women. And I love how the one girl after she says it's like, "Can I be like you someday?" Yes, you can kill men too someday. Also, you can brutally kill men someday. And don't read into what I'm saying. I'm just joking. But anyway, I like the little.
No, Vincent is encouraging young girls to kill adult men. Don't listen to that disclaimer. He is not joking in any way.
This is not hyperbole.
I thought you said you didn't want to get into politics.
He's surprisingly
What can I
dark
say?
feminist turn.
Like I say, this movie's had an effect on me.
Vincent,
Anyway.
2024.
But anyway, so she's taking out these guys, right? But then she's taking on all the entire group except for the main bad guy, like the leader of the group, and he's like, he's unleashing his machine gun, these bullets, and she's blocking all the bullets. And we see that Wonder Woman, she has super speed, but she uses her super speed more in bursts and like a constant thing like Flash or Superman does. So she has super speed. The terrorist guy, he's run out of bullets. He's reloading the gun, and so she can totally just run up to him and like a blink of an eye, even less, grab the gun, throw it away, grab him, lasso him up, he's done. But instead, remember these terrorists were about to blow up this building. Keep that in mind. She clangs her guns together to create that energy blast, blows the guy up, and blows out the wall of like a quarter of the building, which could have killed all the cops outside because the rubble literally lands on the cops.
There were like structural support beams there.
And here's the thing, let me say this one more real quick. I don't mind if, like, Wonder Woman was raised on an island of Amazon warriors. I don't mind if she kills. I mind if she kills unnecessarily. Like, there was no need for her to, like, turn into, like, a demolition crew there at the end. Like just, no, I'm sorry. Like, in the middle of her movie, she's in the middle of a war. I get that. But no, like, she was in total control of that situation. She overdid it way too much.
Well, I also like at the end, she like just grabs the bomb, flies up through and throws it up. And I just wanted her the entire time to be like running around with the bomb, trying to find a place to blow it up, like in the old Batman show. Where it's just like she's about to throw it into the thing, sees some ducks, it's like, ah! And then throws it up. Like, have a bit more fun with it, but that's antithetical to what Zack Snyder wants to do. He will reference things, but not for joy. No. Never for joy.
Joy is not part of the Zack Snyder mission.
No.
Yeah, Wonder Woman's not the Punisher or anything like that, but she'll kill if she has to, but if she can avoid it, she'll try to avoid it.
Yeah.
But then again, this is a Zack Snyder thing where everyone is the Punisher.
Yeah. Well, I imagine him writing The Punisher and then just breaking, and it's just like, oh, this is a pacifist movie about a gardener.
And then Zack Snyder left, for there were no more extras to shoot.
fuck, man?
I'm
That's
here to
beautiful.
help.
You are. No, you're helping. I'm just like,
That was beautiful.
that was not a what. Shut
That
up!
was
What
beautiful.
the fuck? That was like, where the fuck did you pull that from? That was great.
Well, I was pulling that from Ozymandias.
Oh, okay.
And of Alexander the Great, because Alexander wept, and that's
Yes.
also a callback then to Ozymandias and the Watchmen.
You don't have to explain
with
the
Zack
joke.
Snyder, and
Here, we'll just unplug his mic.
All right.
That's how deep these references go.
I'm explaining that I'm clever, like the Doctor does.
Yeah, British people. Anyway.
This we're inspired by Zack Snyder, so this is just him providing exposition for his joke.
Oh,
How else will people understand it if I don't spend half a minute in slow motion explaining the joke?
Oh my god, there's like, if you are not a fan of Zack Snyder's use of slow-mo, then this movie's going to drive you nuts. Because once again, the movie begins in slow-mo as if he's giving the middle finger to like his naysayers. And listen, we have a movie with people who have super speed. Slow-mo can be used properly here, but he just holds on these shots for far... Like, when Wonder Woman's throwing the bomb up in the air, it's like...
So, I have 2 film degrees, not to brag here, but I'm going to pull that out for this thing. So the purpose of slow motion generally is to either draw audience attention to something or give people a chance to look at something and process it in the amount of time that they wouldn't normally be able to if it was moving at regular speed. It seemed like I don't mind slow motion at all. I think it can work really well. It was just so drastically overused, which then also means that like when you would be using it to incredible effect, it would fall apart. It just doesn't work as well. Like there's one scene in slow motion. This was my favorite scene in the entire movie where like Superman's back and he's evil or something. I don't know.
He's confused.
No, I'm going with he's evil.
He's hungover.
And
The Kryptonian
get
water,
back to
man.
life.
Don't drink the Kryptonian water.
And everyone's fighting him, and the Flash is sort of running around, and then like Superman's eyes turn, and he turns, and he's moving as fast as the Flash, and it's like, oh my god, the Flash is in jeopardy. This is amazing. This is so cool. Or it would be if you hadn't been overusing slow motion for this entire damn movie.
Yeah.
The best way I can compare it would be like if in the first Matrix they did bullet time, everyone shot a gun. Every time they shot a gun.
Yep. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I mean that scene is super cool, and so is this scene. Like visually, I thought it looked pretty cool when Flash was like turning back the time, except for the part where everybody's like blood, flesh, and muscle was being reformed for some reason.
If I may, so this is the other part that bothered me a bit. Aside from like a couple of shots where parademons' heads explode when Batman shoots them in the head, the scene where the arms reform, like everyone reforms when Flash is running and turning back time, and like a couple of curse words, this would have been a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
Also, you can tell it's a quality film when you can legitimately use the phrase when Batman shoots them in the head to describe the plot.
That bothered me so much. It's like, okay,
man.
I can kind of understand weaponry on the Batmobile because they're in like in a warlike situation. I can kind of understand weaponry on the Batmobile. They're in a warlike situation. I get that, but Zack Snyder, you have said multiple times, and I know you're not watching, but I'm going to pretend like you're watching this. Zack,
Yes.
Senior Snyder, if you're watching this, you have said multiple times how much you love Frank Miller's famous graphic novel, The Dark
Knight.
Yes, The Dark Knight Returns. There's literally a moment in that storyline where you see Batman take a gun and break it in half because he doesn't like guns. I understand this is an alien gun. I understand parademons are not like alive or like these like zombie bug monsters or whatever. But still, Batman doesn't like guns. Plus, I gotta be honest, it has not been since the Tim Burns films where we've seen Batman use, at least I could be wrong, so somebody correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't think we've seen since the Tim Burns films Batman use batarangs beyond the normal plain ones. Like, I want to see some electro batarangs. I want to see some explosive batarangs. I want to see, just like, I'll even take the Batman Returns batarang that had like a built-in radar he had to type in and throw it. I'm like, where are the different kind of batarangs? Like, give me that. Use those.
That would have been cool. Yeah, I mean that. You know what? Now that you bring that up, I don't remember Nolan's Batman doing that either.
He did throw something at a parademon that exploded, and it just again, you were so really liking doing your weird little close-up things. If he had pulled out and shown that to be a batarang and thrown it and it exploded, that would have been really cool. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like watching this movie, I kind of feel like this was a college student's wet dream. Like there were so many weird little basic film mistakes of like, oh, I found out how to do slow motion in like Final Cut or whatever, so I'm just gonna do it all the time, right? Oh, I found out like kind of desaturating everything makes it look super dramatic and cool. I'm just gonna do that all the time. Oh, let's add exposition and talk about it rather than showing us what's going on, and let's do that a whole bunch. Like there were all of these like beginner rookie mistakes where it's like, okay, cool, you found this new feature in this software, and now you're just gonna beat it to death. Where even like you were saying, it's like, oh, it's a fuck you to all the fans that criticize him about his slow motion stuff. I kind of felt like it might have also been a fuck you to like all of his film school teachers that might have been like, Zach, what about using some color? What about not doing this in slow motion? This was supposed to be a 12-minute movie. It's now 2.5 hours. You know what I mean?
Because Joe, I'm sure you dealt with a lot of that stuff in film school.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, there are always people who once they find and like start working with the technique that they'll overuse it. I mean, I know I've made a lot of mistakes like that, but I've made 10, 15 movies, like short films. So like it's more forgivable for me to do those sort of mistakes.
But he got $70 million.
Yeah. Your short films didn't cost the budget of a small country.
No. Yeah. Well, it depends how small a country.
I think.
Real quick. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Coca-Cola. I know it looks like I am right now, but just not. This was not intended to happen. I just threw on a shirt. Yeah, I'm sorry.
In fact, Vincent is sponsored by Pepsi. He'd like to apologize to the Pepsi company for all this Coca-Cola brand placement. It was not intentional. It's just what we brought.
I swear I have entire crates of Pepsi in my room. I swear.
Weirdly enough, I actually am sponsored by Zach's brain. I don't know if your brain told you that or not, but
and like the color saturation stuff, as someone who I used to work at a hardware store selling paint, and you would get people oh, we're going to sell a house. We want the most bland, muted thing, and that's what to me it was. Oh, Zack Snyder's trying to sell his house. We don't want any vibrant colors that'll distract people. We want them to notice how nice and open these rooms are.
Even the Flash's suit, which is iconically this like vibrant red, this like firefighter red, is still like this really muted, almost gray like red. It's all like it's
kind
like
of maroon almost.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the Flash's suit. And then at the end of the movie, when they go to that dystopian future, I mean, he completely changes the design of the Flash.
It's like a full armor.
Yeah.
Can I say about the end of the movie? Like, not just with that part, but when I saw the original Lord of the Rings trilogy theatrically, I was with some friends who were like diehard Tolkien people, and they got really upset at me. Because each time they did like the not ending, I got up to leave like the movie was over, and then I just started laughing because I'm like, wait, it's still going. That's kind of how I felt about this. It's like, oh, so this is the end of Justice League. Oh no, wait, it's been 20 minutes. Okay, this is the end of Justice League. Wait, no, it's now Joker's here. Why are we dealing with crappy Lex Luthor? Who gave Lex Luthor Adderall?
So the Lord of the, because I wrote down Lord of the Rings twice in my notes of just that Lord of the Rings can get away with being as long as it is because so much is happening, and if you were to cut it, you would actually it is very difficult to cut that down without losing a lot. And even when you watch like the extended cuts, it does feel fine and it doesn't mess with the pacing. Just like we were 2 hours in when, if you're looking at like 3-act structure, we were at the end of Act 1. It was at the 2-hour mark, and it's like that is way too long. And it's just like the point where they're bringing back Superman, and like it's oh god, it was just so frustrating.
But remember, it's 6 acts. No, it's 7 acts because there's.
I thought you said 6 Zacks.
6
Good
acts.
God, no! You can only handle the one.
There's and like I did like Batman. I mean, Affleck as Batman more in this than the original cut or in Batman Superman.
Agreed.
I mean, I still think it's really funny that he just doesn't even try to hide that he's Batman. Like when he goes to the X-Light, or at least if not he's Batman, it's like something's weird. Oh, this America, like if Jeff Bezos showed up in the middle of Finland, just being like, "Hey, here's a bunch of money. I'm looking for a guy." Word's gonna get out.
That was the That was the thing. I thought that was something from the theatrical cut. I thought there was stuff added where, like, because they also say Clark. They also somebody called Superman Clark in front of some police officers.
Batman and Lois they both do it.
And and it's like, okay, this is when I watched the theatrical cut. Okay, they're obviously not going to say this shit in Snyder. Snyder's not going to be.
No, it's just like
And
this
then
whole
it was,
in both versions.
Yeah,
It's just like secret identities just don't fucking mean
But
anything.
also, I mean, at the same time, it's not like they yell at Clark Kent.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a first name you can get away with somewhat.
But Bruce Wayne is like
It's
a billionaire.
but Clark Kent is presumed dead.
Fair
at this point.
Yeah.
So just to defend that slightly.
Yeah, and it's not like police officers would be able to put 1 or 2 and 2 together, Zach.
No.
It's not like that they're trained investigators.
Well, no, they're not. I mean, most of the time in these movies, they're there so Batman can drop a car on them.
All right.
Or make them look like idiots when he disappears without telling them.
Yeah.
When he just leaves, Gotham cops are just like, oh, wasn't he just here? Oh man, he must be magic. Like that's like Gotham cops. He makes Gotham cops look like assholes. Like that's kind of what he does. He's very mean to them.
That was also just another scene. I know it was in the original cut and in the trailers, but I really like the scene where like everyone leaves and just flashes to Siri. It's like, that was rude. Like that was fun.
Yeah,
that was fun. You needed more of that.
Barry should be polite.
Yeah.
It's a very polite boy.
So
let's talk about. Let's get this one out of the way. Let's talk about Martian Manhunter.
Fuck.
So the first, so we have this scene where by the way, I'm going to say this right about the Lois Lane subplot where we just pop in on her every hour and she's just still grieving. Unnecessary. We could have cut that out. I'm sorry, but she's grieving. So it's one of the scenes where we see.
Or can I say something real quick to
sure.
that? If we were going to do a Lois subplot. Or build that part up because it clearly is important and Lois is the key to to Superman's redemption. The cat is very upset about this whole thing. No, what I was going to say is I think if you're going to make Lois's arc a little important, then you should have given a little bit more weight to it. It really felt like whenever Lois popped up, it was just like, oh yeah, Lois is here. Yeah. Oh, what's Lois doing? Oh, that's right. She's a part of this universe.
Yeah.
Like it's an afterthought. That's kind of what it felt like.
Exactly. And I think all we needed to step, either we could have just done the one scene where we see every morning she gets coffee and she goes to the memorial Superman. I think that would have been done enough to show, okay, she's still grieving, or the scene where she wakes up and she reaches over to the other side of the bed and Clark isn't there. Like her brain's still wired to expect Clark to be there when she wakes up. I think that's all we needed from her until the point where she shows up. And Clark is and she's like talks Clark out of killing Batman because he's
or if I may, putting on my filmmaker hat here, and not just because I'm balding, you have Lois be there when they bring Clark back from the dead.
It's funny you should say that.
You have her be more a part of the actual story since. They spend most of it floundering around trying to stop him from Steppenwolf from stealing the mother boxes, but like the characters aren't that involved in it. It's like, oh, we're doing an investigation. Oh, we're figuring things out. Maybe we should bring Lois Lane in because we know she does this, And
she's also a reporter.
Yeah.
Like, she's an investigative
at the
journalist.
point where you decide you're going to bring Superman back from the dead, you probably involve Lois Lane. You bring her along with you, if nothing else, just so that she knows what's going on.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because in the theatrical cut, which once again, the theatrical cut is a mess. It is a mess of a film. The way Lois shows up to the fight is that Batman, once they come up with the idea to use the Mother Box to revive Superman, apparently Batman has been staying in contact with Lois, and he realizes that if Superman does wake up and he doesn't come back normal, he's going to need Lois Lane. So he has Alfred grab Lois Lane and bring her in just in case Superman goes goofy. And that's what happens in the theatrical cut. Alfred rolls up in Bruce's car. Lois steps out and she's like, Clark, like you kind of see her. But in this one, it's just like, oh, thank God Lois just happens to be visiting the memorial every day, because otherwise they all would have been fucking dead.
There was also just on the Lois Lane scenes, and Martian Manhunter and all of that sort of mixed together, that Martian Manhunter impersonates Clark's mom to go talk to Lois, and it was a very weird scene.
Yes.
And that bothered me too, just where they're like, yeah, but Superman didn't belong to these people, and it's like, he did though. Like, Superman was a symbol for the world. And yeah, I understand Zack Snyder did some other stuff. And as I was corrected by you guys, it's like, no, like half the world hates him. It's like, all right, cool. But like, it made me think of, because you inevitably are going to compare the DC and the Marvel stuff. And just in Spider-Man Far From Home, of just like the amount of like artwork that people have made of Tony Stark, because he sacrificed himself, he did all of this stuff to bring people back, and like just he becomes this symbol, and it affects the characters in a very good and meaningful way. Whereas what was it? It was either Lois or Martian Manhunter as the mom was like, oh, I see this. Weird. I see this symbol everywhere, and it's frustrating, and it's like, it shouldn't be, because it's showing how much these people loved your son.
Yeah.
Or boyfriend, whichever one said it, I don't remember.
Yeah, here's the thing. Oh, by the way, if you can hear anything in the background, that's the cat using the litter box. I don't know if it's going to come up in the audio. Probably not, but just in case. A little funny for you guys. But anyway, yeah, here's the thing. That scene, like, if it was just actually the real Martha Kent talking to Lois, that could have been a nice little touching scene. Two people sharing their grief, trying to heal. But as Martian Manhunter, it's like, I get what Martian Manhunter's trying to do. He's trying to help Lois heal, but it's still deceitful. Plus, on top of the fact, what you're going back to is like, like the world knowing him, it would make sense if in these previous movies they actually built up Clark. Because there's always been more focus on who he is when he's got the tights on, not who Clark is. And they always over-focus on he can beat up stuff, that's at the end of the day, that's what Superman in this movie. He's the guy that can beat up the guy that can't be beat up. And it's just, I'm sick and tired of his humanity getting left to the side. It's it bums me out. And if you want to see how great Superman is, how great Clark Kent is, just as being the person, the guy that he is, watch the new Superman and Lois show on the CW. I know it sounds ridiculous because the CW is like dropped the bar in a lot of their superhero shows, but there are 4 episodes in it, and I gotta say, I really enjoy it. It doesn't even feel like normal CW shows. It feels like, a lot of people say it feels like more like something that's on HBO. And I gotta agree, like the Superman and Lois show, it's I hope they don't fuck it up. I really hope they don't fuck it up, because right now it's so good. Like, I am invested in the characters on this TV show way more than I was invested in most of the characters in this movie.
Well, I think you're right. I think, Joe, you said it's deceitful whenever it's revealed that it's Martian Manhunter, which really kind of seemed like random fan service. Like, he really didn't need to be a part of this, because at no point in any of the other movies has he been established as a character that we know that he's in this. And I think it kind of cheapens the interaction between Lois and, Clark's mom and Martha. Like, this was supposed to be, like, I was looking at that scene, I was like, well, this is kind of a nice scene. Like, they're still in touch with each other, they're still taking care of each other, like, this is kind of a nice scene. And then you find out that it's Martian Manhunter, and it's like, but why though? Why does this need to be there? And then at the end of it, this is the last point I'll make, is like, again, it's just random fucking drop-in, where it has no precedence to anything at all.
So the thing that actually, thinking about it, just how, like, after the fact, it's because we knew who Martian Manhunter was. If you didn't know who Martian Manhunter was, you'd be like, oh my god, did a shape-shifting alien just kill Martha? And like, take her place?
That's basically what I was about to say as well.
Well, I'm glad I beat you to it, because I could say it in fewer words.
There'd be no jokes around it.
Why must you attack me on other people's channels as well as our own? I just want to...
There's no jokes. There's no jokes in the Snyder Cut reviews.
Yeah, because it's just... Yeah, you had no idea who that is. It's just, oh... Wait, is Ma Kentish an alien too?
Was this alien raised by aliens?
I mean that would explain like why Pa Kent in Man of Steel doesn't seem to understand, saving children as a human virtue. Oh, he was just an alien. He didn't get it. He wasn't just poorly written. He just didn't understand. That is a hill I will die on. I'm just nope. That is the moment I was like, nope, I'm done.
It just really didn't. I mean, honestly, had they gone down the route of the Kents were actually aliens from Mars, it would have justified so much of what Kevin Costner did in that movie. Like, so much of it. But you're right. It's one of those things. Again, it's like, why did this need to be a part of the movie? It didn't. And you brought this up as like, oh yeah, the studio wanted certain, things to be dropped into the film. And if that was the case, like, this is your cut, dog. Like, you got 100% creative control. Well, they gave you $77 million to finish this shit.
Yeah, and especially even, too, like, when they did the scene with Lex and Deathstroke. Because there were so many things, well, here are the things that Joss Whedon cut out. And so I think some of it was just, oh, well, fans heard this existed, I have to include it, whether it matters or not.
So this was the kind of thesis point that I was kind of going to with this. So straight up, if you couldn't tell from the way we've been talking about this, I personally did not like this film. if you couldn't come across,
I am shocked.
But
I do not understand what's going on right now.
But I did think it was terribly interesting because very seldom, like, do you see what you would say, like, the director's original intent, like. That I've made several short films. I've done a lot of YouTube channel stuff. I've done so much stuff. Things change while you shoot, and the idea of getting to see what the director or the creator originally intended, that almost never happens. Mm-hmm. And honestly, occasionally for very good reason, because like while working on things, an actor does something new and different. You're like, okay, well, we're going to work around this. Something changes and you have to compromise your vision. And it is very interesting to see something where it was like, here is someone who didn't compromise their vision in any way, and kind of like that the movie was worse for it. Because like, there was a lot of bloat in this film that just could have been cut out. I know Vincent said there, it's like, no, I will die on that hill. This could have been an hour and a half easily. Like, not that much happens. Like, you start off with, the mother box being stolen from the Amazons. You jump to the other thing. It's like, you could do that in 5 minutes. You do that in 5 minutes. You could get the thing of the team starting to get assembled. Cyborg could just be on board with what's happening. It's very frustrating. And it is kind of one of those things where occasionally you will think like, oh, the producers or the studio made you change things. Don't always defend a director if the studio makes them change something. It can be very bad. It can be very wrong. But it's not always the wrong thing. That was my big thesis.
I also think, like, you could have... I think, with the slow motion, I think it would have probably been an hour and a half movie, but it would really have been 2 hours and 12 minutes, maybe, something along those lines. But I think you could have really made this movie about two central characters. You could have made it about Cyborg and Batman, right? Like, it's a redemption arc for Batman to put this team together to help a world without Superman and himself create something that is, the equivalent beacon of hope that he was. But it's also Cyborg that is trying to figure out what this alien tech is. But it's, lo and behold, this alien tech has now been found on Earth. And it's really meant to destroy the Earth. And now the team comes together to face this big threat. And they bring back Superman. Whatever, right? Like, you could have a lot of the same plots, but if you focused on the character development, the character growth of Batman and Cyborg, I think you could have made a really interesting movie.
Well,
I think that definitely would have been a much better film.
And it's not even just that he's figuring out what the alien tech stuff is. He's figuring out who he is.
Yeah.
Because, like, everybody else, you've seen Batman, you've seen Wonder Woman, you've seen these other characters. The two new characters, well, I guess Aquaman was new to this as well.
Yes, yeah. This is before his movie.
But either way, it's a chance, like The Flash, this version of Barry Allen, other than getting his life together, has already kind of figured out who he is. And has come to terms. Clearly, however, he got these powers, he knows how to use them, he's come to terms with them. Whereas this thing, this version of Cyborg, if he's not new to them, he at least still seems like he's still figuring things out. And there's a lot of stuff. Like, I did like that they fleshed out his character more in this cut.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
But again, there were things like, oh, here's a 15-minute scene fleshing out Cyborg, where 10 minutes is people standing there silently.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fluff. It's a lot of.
It could have. I mean, his character, like his intro scene, could have literally been, the football game, noticing his dad's not in the stands, the conversation with his mom, the accident, and then you come into this is what he is now, and letting that kind of build throughout the throughout the movie, and then develop his character, develop him in figuring out who he is now and how to adapt and how to become a hero, like. But they don't do any of that stuff in this movie. They do develop his character quite a bit, but again, it's just in these long, drawn-out, like, overly expository scenes where you're just like, holy crap, what, like, we fucking get it!
Like the scenes where he's in his own mind, kind of. I was rewatching Community the other day, and from the last season, there's an episode where, like, the Dean buys a 1990s VR system.
Right.
And I just felt like that. He's like, I'm in a virtual world. I'm going to reach over here to pull down this file now, and I'm going to do this. And it's like, just that's not how computers work.
It's an interesting visualization, but I feel like it, again, much like a lot of things in this movie, it's just not executed really well.
And to me, like, in terms of, like if you're showing how fast a machine is in terms of downloading data or whatever, to me, yeah, you can have him stand there and scroll through all these things in his head, or just have him, like, blink and be like, okay, I just downloaded the entire CIA report.
Right.
Speaking of things that weren't done well, and this is something I usually don't talk about because I'm not, I'm not very, not really good at talking about music and stuff like that. But can we talk about the one bit of music that was used many
ancient lamenting music?
Yes, and then we had the subtitles on while we were watching. And that's what it was called, ancient lamentation music.
Ancient lamentation,
and it was the music used with Wonder Woman, where it's like like it's like I'm pretty sure he used something similar to this in like 300, and and it was definitely that. And it worked. It was fine in 300 because 300 was still during that time period where everyone was trying to copy that music from like Gladiator.
It's from Tropic Thunder.
No.
Do you remember? No. It is. It's the scene that they're trying to shoot in the movie. It's the most dramatic scene where Ben Stiller like falls to the ground and he puts his arms up and there's an explosion behind him. It's that style of music, but it's like. All the fucking time that Wonder Woman does anything.
And she already has her own theme.
It's a good theme.
There's just a string orchestra following her at all times. Diana goes to order a pizza.
So something that I would love to have seen kind of happen in this movie, and obviously they're not going to do something like this. If each of the individual characters, I mean, they all kind of had their own themes, and it was very strange to see, like, everyone kind of had, like, a short musical introduction, and it sounds completely ridiculous if you haven't seen the film, but no. Like, basically, everyone has this weird introduction music thing,
yeah.
And it would have been really cool to... If you have everyone have their own theme as they're coming together as a cohesive team, just sort of have that music start to blend together into what ends up being the main theme for the song or for the film, kind of like what Lord of the Rings did.
Or Avengers.
Or
the
Avengers
theme has become really fucking iconic now, But that's because they used it at the right times. They
Yeah.
used it when the group comes together to overcome their challenges that they're facing. Like, it wasn't just used all the time. But in this one, aside from the ancient lamentation music, I don't know, like, what's a Batman theme or a Cyborg theme or anything. They really didn't use the music component as well as they could have.
Ancient Lamentation theme, though, is a banger, and I look forward to it being sampled in a lot of upcoming rap songs.
So,
oh my god.
So the one thing that did really also bother me thinking about the movie is just, I know they didn't want to give him too much of an arc because he was going to have an arc in his own movie, but just Aquaman felt very weird and vestigial for the film. Like, it felt like he was there because they wanted an additional, like, character, and they wanted to set up, because Aquaman should be on the Justice League, but, like, he felt completely just, aside from the fact that, like, he was tied into it because the Atlanteans were going out, had one of the mother boxes. He felt very just like it didn't matter that he was there, and that was very strange.
Other than going from guy who doesn't want to be on the team to guy who's willing to be in the team, his character is completely static.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot that they did with him, and I think there could have been something better where, again, you could have Martian Manhunter be like, holy shit, there's this big threat coming, and he's the one that kind of rallies the group, right? It always... I don't know if you felt like this, but both times that I watched the theatrical cut and this cut, it kind of felt a little random that Batman was like, there's a threat coming and we need to form a team.
Because I had a nightmare. It wasn't just residues from Scarecrow.
Weird nightmare situation. Yeah. Hey, don't you have a guy that fucks with your dreams? No, it wasn't him. But that could have been, instead of having Aquaman in this movie, and you need to put a Martian Manhunter in there. Okay, cool. Like, give Martian Manhunter a good reason to be part of it. Let Aquaman have his own origin, and then Justice League 2 is them dealing with, which is how the animated universe starts. It starts with Darkseid, and then it goes to the Atlanteans, and those are the two big Justice League threats in the beginning, right? Like, you could have done something like that, and I think it would have been a lot more interesting. You had a new character that you could start developing and building, again, and then you could cut that down to 2 hours. And you could have you fulfill the contractual obligation of putting Martian Manhunter in your movie.
So remember the other thing that was in my notes, and this is the end of my notes, unfortunately.
Until we get Joe's notes, the Snyder cut,
and until we get the extended version of my notes. The thing that really bothered me is that a lot of characters were acting on information they had that they could not have had in the film. Like, Wonder Woman's like, oh, they've got 2 of the mother boxes. We need to find the third and secure it. And it's like, they have 2 mother boxes. You don't know that they don't already have the third one. And just, like, there were a lot of little moments like that where it's like, does Diana, like, have a copy of the script? Like, Batman's like, oh, I'm sure there's a big threat coming or something. And it's just like, you're basing that off of dreams and nothing. Like, I understand, like, you wanting to get the Justice League together because Superman's dead. Like, that makes sense, but, like, with the urgency you are doing it, it is very strange. Because it's like you're getting things set up for the movie. You're not getting things set up for the world, if that makes sense. To use a D&D term, people were using a lot of out-of-game knowledge, and I'm never okay with that in storytelling. Unless there's a good reason for it later.
This is possibly the most paranoid Batman I've seen. Like, if you think about the steps he's taking, and comic book Batman has, like, built tons of plans to kill all his friends. This guy's like, I had a bad dream. I need to create a team. I ate some cheese, and now I'm worried. I was visited by 3 spirits. They said to give my money to charities. I said, no, I'm making a team. I'm buying a bike. I'm going to buy the bank, bro.
But yeah, I don't know. I just you're right. There was a lot of like, how did they it's just stuff happening right now. Or, like, there's no real explanation to it. It's just like, okay, this is just stuff happening now. Like,
I think the close we come to is just that because of his conversation he has with Luthor at the end of BVS, and because there's a cut scene. Here's the thing about BVS. The theatrical BVS is 2.5 hours, right? And then there was the Ultimate Edition because they wanted to make up for money loss.
And I saw that.
I have not seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ultimate Edition of BVS is better, but it still has a lot of same fundamental problems that BVS does. There's a cut scene where you see, like, and we see it actually early on in the beginning of this film, where Luthor is in the Kryptonian ship, he's in the pool, and you see that manifestation of Steppenwolf, like, showing him the mother boxes. So apparently what it was like, that's why Batman took his warning at the end of BVS seriously, because he spoke to Steppenwolf or something. And okay, let's bring this up real quick. This is something that is, doesn't matter what's the actual cut or this cut. Let's bring this up real quick. So they mentioned that the mother boxes woke up and they sent out a signal to Steppenwolf or Darkseid, and that's why Steppenwolf showed up. And they bring up, like, well, why didn't they send the signal before? Cyborg's dad activated one of the boxes and it didn't send out a signal. And they're like, these boxes didn't send out a signal until Superman was dead, because the boxes were afraid of Superman because he's so powerful. Superman didn't land on this fucking planet until the 1980s, and the boxes have been around for about 5,000 years. Well, why didn't they send? Why wasn't there no signal sent before then? Why? Even if you take Wonder Woman into account, that she's still one person against an entire army led by Steppenwolf. Which, goddamn, Steppenwolf was just a plain Jane kind of villain. Like, there was really, I mean, his motivation is mapped out.
Cool yet? Do you guys like me?
His motivation is more clear in this film than the theatrical cut, but it's just like, he's still not that interesting of a villain.
I keep thinking now that you talked about the Batman versus Superman, both the theatrical cut and the Ultimate Edition. Combined with this, if you decided, all right, I want to watch these two movies side by side, you are legally entitled to a lunch break.
Zach Funk always thinking of the working man.
just like that. I'm like, oh yeah, no, that would be that'd be more than 6 hours.
Gotta get yourself a 30 between at some point, and also 2 15s possibly, depending on where you work.
Yeah.
If you worked at Starbucks, it's 7 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna watch 2 movies. See you at the end of the workday. You just come in, clock in. Another day, another Snyder. How you doing? Living the dream, the one Batman had that made him paradise.
Were you wearing the duster in the dream again? I was wearing the duster in the dream again.
Yeah. It's always the duster dream. Every night the duster dream.
So, in Batman's weird future thing, I understand why Flash is wearing armor and everything, and they're really like, oh, I'll kill him for what he did to Arthur, the Aquaman's girlfriend, talking about that, and it ends up being just this, like, why is Batman still wearing the hood if it doesn't matter anymore?
Branding.
Branding, fair enough. But everyone already knows who he is, so why does it matter?
Maybe the anti-life equation made him bald and he's just really self-conscious.
It's a possibility.
Like, he has no hair left on his head.
Well, not
even eyebrows.
If he doesn't wear the cowl and just wears the goggles, he kind of looks like an asshole. So.
I mean, Joe, if you normally wore a cowl and then further lost more hair, would you keep the cowl on? Do you think?
No, I wouldn't, because it would be uncomfortable.
It doesn't make sense because the entire planet's a desert now. He'd be really sweaty in that thing.
Yeah, he needs to wear some lighter gear.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, we've been going on for I don't know how long.
Hour and 20 minutes.
Congratulations, you're still in Act 1.
Okay.
All right, guys.
But it's going to run. So we're going to hand Joe the mic. We're going to start. Joe, give us your closing thoughts and a rating out of 10. And you can go 0.5 if you want to.
Okay. Just a weird, bloated mess of a thing. I did not like it. I will give it just a disappointment out of 5. Or out of 10. A point. No, it's not a 0.5. It was still functional. It didn't cause physical pain. And I've seen movies like that. So I would give this maybe a 3. 3 out of 10. Yeah, that seems fair.
I just liked how it was consistently inconsistent, because that's what Zack Snyder does. So it was still one vision, but that one vision was still incredibly inconsistent, and there were a lot more questions than answers in this cut. So I'm gonna give it a, because it was not as bad as the Frankenstein movie, the Frankenstein Justice League movie. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10.
So I want to give it 1 point for each hour. But because it was so long, there is a slight deduction. I'm going to give it a 3.7. Because I think that's just, it's different than a 0.5, and that 3.7 is written in slow motion.
All right. Well, in my initial review, I gave it a 5 out of 10, but upon rewatch, I knew if I rewatched it, it's probably gonna be lower. Probably gonna be lower if I rewatch it, and we did. So, like I said, in all the ways you would expect it to be, that you would expect it to be better than the theatrical cut, because it's one guy's total control and vision. It's better in all those ways, not all the annoying stuff. But at the same time, it's just like, and I understand a lot of people are enjoying this film. This film is getting decent reviews from a lot of critics. Audiences are loving it, and I guess. But honestly, I just for me, I've just had enough of all these Zack Snyder style decisions and techniques he uses. We've gone over them. So I'm gonna take my rating from a 5 out of 10. I'm gonna drop it down a full point. I'm gonna go 4 out of 10.
I think people might be being more generous to it. Also, because they've been locked inside for a year, and a 4-hour cruddy film in relative to the past year is actually pretty good.
That's fair.
If I was comparing it to Quarantine, yes, that would be beneficial.
All right. Well, I think that does it for our Zack Snyder's Justice League spoiler discussion. Thank you guys all for watching. Let us know down in the comments what you think, whether you agree with us or not. Tell us what you think. Just be cool down in the comments, as long as you give, constructive, or I should say, intelligent reasons for why you like it. Because I know a lot of people, we're kind of in the minority right now. A lot of people are, really enjoying this film. So if you like it, just let me know why. I'll respond. And don't forget to check out these guys' channels. I'll leave links to their channels down in the description for, Zach and Joe's It's a Word Sandwich, and Christian's, self-titled YouTube channel, Chris Moen.
Eponymous YouTube channel.
Listen, there's only room enough on this couch for 2 of us to use big words.
So you better get up.
Joe and Christian, show your words.
But yeah, guys, leave a comment, check out their channels, and if you want to do us both a solid here, click the subscribe button. It helps my channel out. It helps you to know when I've got new videos up. But until next time, take it easy.